Hey, Rob from Order 42 here, and today we are going to take a look at The Suicide Squad, released August 5th, 2021 on HBO Max and in theaters. So, is it worth your time? Is it worth a watch? Let's find out. Written and directed by James Gunn, The Suicide Squad tells the story of supervillains and a collection of nutty cons who go on a mission to infiltrate the remote, enemy-infused island of Corto Maltese. The movie stars Margot Robbie, Idris Elba, John Cena, Joel Kinnaman, and Viola Davis. Now, I think the first thing that you kind of have to do when you're looking at this movie, you kind of have to know some of the backstory, right? So James Gunn, he did some tweets way back in the day, and they were found and brought to the forefront by people on Twitter, and Disney fired him. So in the aftermath of that, a lot of things happened. He apologized and basically said, "Look, I'm a different person now. Yes, I'm sorry for that stuff. I was young and I was stupid, and there's no excuse for that. But I'm a different person now, and I would hope that others know that I'm a new person now." After he says this, DC says, "Hey, you want to come make a movie for us?" So of course he said, "Yeah." And it was very exciting. It was very exciting news to know that James Gunn was not only going to keep working, but he was going to still be working in the comic genre, which was exciting to a lot of us. And then shortly after, Disney, I think wisely, came to their senses and said, "You know what, James, we really would like you to do Guardians of the Galaxy 3. And he said, "Well, sure, I'll do that, but after I finish this movie for DC." So it's a really interesting kind of backstory along with it. And I think some of that feeling that there's nothing to lose, some of that is in this movie, and it's really kind of cool. There's an almost juvenile delight in the way that this movie is violent, it's crass, it's all the things that, a lot of us would like to see in a comic book movie. I mean, look, there's some of us that are adults, and there's some of us that, we talk with colorful language, and it's fun to see that reflected in a comic book, and it's extremely violent. It's almost un-Disney the way that it's presented, and it's actually really refreshing. The weird thing about this movie and I guess about James Gunn is that there are so many ways that this could have gone off the rails. If you kind of think about the story and the way that things progress, you're like, this shouldn't work. But for some reason, it does. And even more than that, I find that a lot of people that would probably be turned off by the crass language, the extreme gory violence at times, they're still drawn to it because it's the humor is so well done. And there's a heart and sweetness to the whole thing. It's just, like I said, it's such a melting pot of different ideas and different, almost, I guess, genres in a way. The way that things come together, it shouldn't work, but it does. Now, I love what I read the other day at the premiere. Somebody asked Margot Robbie about it, and she actually said, "If I had read the script and didn't know James Gunn was going to direct it, it would have been a straight up no." Which is, I think, again, it sort of illustrates this trust that people have in James Gunn of telling these kinds of stories that are, let's be honest, way out there. Who would have thought to put Polka Dot Man in a movie, but James Gunn did, and it works. I think one of the things that's really important, and it's to me, it's key to this movie, is the way that the world is presented to us, the audience, right? The way that we take it in. We're looking at the characters and how they're reacting to it, and every single character and every single actor is doing it completely straight. Like, they believe in the weirdness and everything that's going on. And I think that is, it's so important. And I think a lot of it comes down to one character, in my opinion, and that's Viola Davis. The way that she treats everybody and the way that she matter-of-factly talks about all of this weird stuff going on, there's something in it that immediately sells you on this idea and all this weird stuff going on. It's fantastic. And on top of that, I'm not going to go down the list of actors that is in this movie because it's too much. I will just say that everybody brings it. Like everybody is number one, it looks like they're having a great time. Number two, they're doing a great job, right? I mean, one of the ones I do have to say, John Cena, I'm honestly never been a big fan, right? I've never been a fan of his sort of this deadpan delivery and all that. For some reason, this character, it works and it's funny. I mean, everybody's great though. I will say, before I really get to the rating, I will say that it's not without its problems. I still think that most everyone, if you look at the trailer and you say, yeah, that looks like something that could be fun, you're going to have a blast. I mean, I say absolutely watch it. But there is a problem with it. I've been thinking about this for a long time, not just because of Suicide Squad, but because of movies that I actually end up enjoying that a lot of people, some people feel cold by them or whatever. Like, for example, Tenet. There's very little character development in that movie. And yet, for me, the movie still works. And I'm trying to figure out what it is about certain movies that there's this balance between, in my opinion, there's character, number one. I mean, that to me, that's the most important thing. You have to believe in the characters. The story, the plot, right? That has to be solid, and it has to make sense. It has to, it has to flow. And then that last part is sort of everything else. It's sort of like the setting, the world building, the technical aspect of it, meaning like the cinematography, the way it looks, all of those things, the music, sound effects, all of those things. And to me, it's almost like a tripod, right? Of those three things. And if one of those things falters, then, you've got a problem. Things are a little unstable. For me, this movie relies so heavily on the character development and the amount of development for each and every character. To me, the story falters a little bit. I mean, for me, the second act in particular, it's a little slow. It was like a little like, okay, I'm ready for things to get moving again. And then when it does in the third act, I'm actually a little tired at that point. It's such a weird thing because I feel like even though it lost me a little bit in the second act, and I was still on board with it by the end of the third act, by the end of the movie and all that stuff, I just kind of felt like no, I really enjoyed that. That was fun. But for me, it's just not a ride that I feel like I need to take again. I feel like in a way, it doesn't really translate to something that I would recommend, right? But I'm telling you, there's so much good in it that it's really easy to kind of say, you know what, even though the second act kind of faltered for me a little bit, and even though by the end of the movie I was kind of like, okay, I still feel like it's absolutely worth watching. It's so much fun, and it's like all the filters are gone. And, like if you took a Marvel idea, like a Marvel movie, any Marvel movie, any kind of comic book story, and you just said, let's just do whatever the heck we want. We're going to curse. People are going to explode. It's going to be nuts. Let's just have some fun with it. That's this movie. And for that reason, I'm going to give this movie a 3.25 stars, which in my rating system, anything above 3 stars is recommended. So yeah, I would say absolutely watch this movie. I will also say that if you're watching it, let's say in the theater, right? Or even on HBO Max, don't turn it off right away because there are 2 post-credit scenes. So watch out for those. So, The Suicide Squad, James Gunn, Margot Robbie, Idris Elba, all these amazing people, right, came together. They made this movie. It's crazy. It's fun. It's gory. It's sweet. It's all of those things together. What did you guys think of this movie? Did you like it as much as I did? Did you have kind of maybe a couple of the same problems that I did? Let me know down below and we'll discuss it. Because this movie in particular, I feel like there's gonna be some people that may not like it. They just may not care for it. And then there's gonna be those that just absolutely love it. So yeah, let's discuss it. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.